some of the technical discussions are the limitation and the number of curb cuts. This can have a big impact on front yards and the perception from the right-of-way and from the public domain on how these look. They also can impact some of the pedestrian facilities such as sidewalks. As you can see, and I think as we mentioned before the discussion of Wasco Avenue and how the front series of front load garages that often characterize some of the urban townhouse developments really started, when we started getting more and more of them, they really dominated the urban fabric of how these things looked. And in looking at some of the configurations and prototype, there's a really concerted emphasis to limit the number of curb cuts, that we didn't see the front yards turned into driveways exclusively, that we didn't see as these units got laid out to limit that impact. Typically, you're going to see in a single family area or traditional neighborhood 0 or 1 driveway. So trying to play upon that as a design cue, and the neighborhood designs of 1 driveway serves the units. It reduces the general perceived impact or the perception of the number of dwellings. It's really kind of a form approach and design approach. So that was first. Similar to that, how do you promote strong street facing dwellings? Again, the emphasis of having the units engage the public right away became something that is a hallmark of urban design in a lot of ways. The elevation facing the street, eyes on the street, the perception of those units being of that scale and character, making sure that they didn't turn their backs on them. Again, most single family, most traditional neighborhoods, you'll see the front facade being the defining facade, and that rhythm of that facade, wanting to encourage that typical pattern. So this is really achieved in a clear and objective way by siting buildings, requiring certain architectural features. You can see how many times the front porch came up. The front porch is not only an architectural feature, it's also a building orientation on how these buildings start engaging the street.
So Dustin, are all these various examples you're showing us, are these all assuming 1 parking space like per unit? I know that that's one of the things we're going to discuss, but I mean, in terms of the examples, it seems to me that when we discuss parking, that's essentially going to reshape all of these potential drawings, because if we decide, you know, to require 1 space or no spaces or whatever, I mean, so much of this, such a big piece of this jigsaw puzzle is driveway and parking, and that'll obviously change how many options we have. So I'm just curious that when we look at all these examples, are they all based on 1 parking space or garage per unit?
1 per, yeah. Not necessarily garage, but 1 space per, 1 off street per unit.
Right. Okay.
These right now would be 1.5 per unit. The duplexes would be now required minimum of 2 per unit. So.
Right, but these drawings are reflecting.
These drawings reflect a 1 per on.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
There might be one that comes up pretty soon that has a 0 parking space on it, and I think that one is it's been just left it in the deck to show you what it looks like. Not really contemplated as for further development, but it definitely drives the design. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I echo Tina's sentiment. It completely changes the look and the feel, and just the priorities of the design. I mean, you're trading outdoor space for asphalt. So, but thank you, Tina, for bringing that up.
We'll have a lot to discuss on that one.
Yeah.
Actually, so this one got left in. This is what happens when you do 2 curb cuts. So I think here's kind of playing on that point is if each of these 3 flats have a curb cut, you end up with driveway space on the outside here from the street and a driveway space here leaving the common court in the middle.
Mm.
So this one, I think the amount, I think we ended up having so much lot coverage so quickly that I didn't ask the consultant to really go any further in evaluating it. But I think this raises the point of what happens when you have multiple curb cuts, how quickly and how dense this thing becomes and how much coverage there really becomes even faster. So, however, it is, it is a viable unit elsewhere. This would be some of the courtyard in the middle, the attached courtyard cluster. Again, with 2 curb cuts, it starts making it, doesn't render a whole lot of open space to it. So this goes back to 10,000. This is our 6 detached cottage style units or small units. Each of them with a garage and a single curb cut in the middle to where you have space in between them. But the center is the garage court. This would be an infill for R2, R3, where you're now allowed 4 dwelling units. This would be a 6 unit. So this would be like a detached triplex. All the sides have your side facing, your pedestrian walks served from front to back. The front 2 units, again, give more the size and style of your, your typical single family home infill development with the other units extending to the back. So, yeah, each of them having some sort of front porch, front entry feature, but it being moved more towards the back. 10,000 square feet, and really no common open space set aside in this one. Just spaces between the units in the form of yard areas.